Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our November edition of our monthly community engagement spotlight series. My name is Ayo Idowu, and I am the Business Operations Coordinator in the Office of Community Engagement here at the Medical College. Please note that this session is being recorded. To our audience members, please be sure you are muted throughout the presentation. I'd like to begin with a statement from our Office of Community Engagement. We wish to acknowledge the Indigenous people who are past and present stewards of the land on which we pursue our just cause of a healthy community for everyone. We encourage everyone to use the chat bar to share comments or pose any questions. We will be monitoring those questions throughout the presentation, so feel free to leave questions or comments at any time. This monthly series features community partners and the important work that they are doing for the community. We highlight their goals, motivations, and accomplishments, and the ways they have partnered with people and programs at the Medical College. Today, we are honored to have Cydney Key for the ThriveOn Collaboration joining us as our featured guest. At this time, I would like to introduce our Senior Associate Dean for Community Engagement, Dr. Stacy Young, who will share a few words about ThriveOn Collaboration and important work for the community. Dr. Young?
Thanks so much, Ayo, and welcome everyone. I hope everybody had a fantastic Thanksgiving holiday to those that celebrate it, and hope you had a chance to enjoy some relaxing time with friends, family, and those that you hold close to you. So thank you so much for joining us this month for our Office of Community Engagement Spotlight Series. I'm pleased to introduce to you Cydney Key and the ThriveOn Collaboration. The ThriveOn Collaboration is a joint venture between Royal Capital, the Greater Milwaukee Foundation, and the Medical College of Wisconsin, aiming to make Milwaukee a more equitable, healthy, and thriving community for all. The collaboration is dedicated to eliminating racial, health, and economic and social disparities in Milwaukee by making generational investments in the well-being of its communities. This commitment is reflected in the collaboration's foundational investment in ThriveOn King, the restoration and development of the iconic Gimbels-Schuster's department store building in the historic King Drive district. And for those of you, if you've not had a chance to see the building, if you drive down Martin Luther King Drive just south of North Avenue, you'll see the building, and as it's undergoing the renovation, it's really remarkable. And guided by community priorities and data, the ThriveOn Collaboration will be a catalyst for additional investment and community impact. So with that, thank you, Ms. Key, for being our featured spotlight guest today. I would now like to introduce today's facilitator, Ms. Deborah Nevels. Deborah is a program manager for community outreach and engagement in the Medical College of Wisconsin's Cancer Center. Her innovative initiatives for community outreach and community building have impacted populations throughout the country. However, her passion certainly remains with promoting health education for those that have been negatively impacted by injustices in all forms. Deborah has worked extensively with the ThriveOn Community Advisory Council, which is a group of neighborhood residents that have been a critical voice and partner for the ThriveOn Collaboration. So with that, Ms. Nevels, thank you so much for serving as our facilitator today, and I now turn this wonderful discussion over to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Young. I totally appreciate it, and I do want to say I'm hoping that the Office of Community Engagement has their soundtrack ready as a last-minute stocking stuffer, because that would make it. That was wonderful. We got so many accolades for that. It is truly my honor today to be able to facilitate this conversation with Cydney Key. And Cydney, thank you so much, first and foremost, for agreeing to be part of this conversation, but also for all of the wonderful work you're doing. Introduce yourself to some folks, that some people may not know you. Do you believe that?
Well, Deb, it is my pleasure as well, and thank you so much. It's an honor to join you in this conversation as well, to highlight the tremendous effort of work that has been done for ThriveOn Collaboration. So really quickly introducing myself, I'm Cydney Key. My role here in the collaboration is the Senior Director of Guest Experience and Strategic Partnerships. And so I really am looking forward to the opportunity to carry forward a lot of the engagement work in the space of occupancy when we're in the building, and engaging with the community, our internal and external stakeholders. And so I sometimes jokingly say that I have the best sandbox manager job, because I do have the pleasure to engage with everyone and make sure that ThriveOn is living up to its potential.
Awesome. I would agree. You do have the best sandbox management job. I love it. Why? I know that you have something to share to give people. Some people may not be as familiar with the ThriveOn experience, as I like to say it, and history. So if we could share that video, I think that would be a good starting point for everyone who's here. Thank you, Jai.
As a 104-year-old community foundation serving this region, we are committed to the future and a thriving community for all.
I was considering a move into the neighborhood, a move specifically into the neighborhood to get closer to our constituents so that it would inform our overall work. MCW was looking for a way to come into the neighborhood to move in some of its place-based type programming, and our developer, Royal Capital, was looking for partners to help them actually succeed.
You have three unique organizations, all independently serving towards a common mission of racial equity, health equity, and investment equity. But if we look at things that make us more equitable in terms of affordable housing, in terms of access to food, and in terms of overall financial stability, those are areas that we have focused on. When we all came together, we looked at the map and we said, we're all going in the same direction. So let's make this thing a partnership.
We work collectively toward a thriving community by demonstrating holistic investments, centering residents in the solution. So we've had a significant community engagement function to make sure that the work that we're talking about doing is resident informed. So the neighborhoods, Harambe, Halliard Park, Brewers Hill have all been invited to participate in visioning sessions.
And we've been welcomed, and they keep us abreast of what's going on, and that means a lot. I'm excited about the streetscape. If we drive through here and people come through here and they see something beautiful, that's going to entice more people to come to the area. Especially now with the bid, doing all they can to bring businesses here to King Drive. I think it's going to be a great asset.
The neighborhood. Thanks, Jai. That is so exciting.
Yes,
this is one who's going to be in that space. I'm excited, but I know you have got to be excited too.
Yes. So every time I get to see one of these videos or share that with community, whether they have a lot of exposure to ThriveOn or this is their first introduction, it's really always exciting for me, one, to share those partnership leaders that were in the video speaking. It's really a great opportunity to share with them and to really put forward. The leadership of this has been very intentional in the effort to collaborate, but also how and who we're having as players has been a significant piece. So I always get really excited when I get a chance to share this video because it's such a great summary, and I couldn't have done a better job at sharing how the partnership and the collaboration came together. As well, it gives us that quick entry into, we were really early on focused on being resident informed and not just as a means of lip service or, we're coming in here and we're saying we listen to you. There's been a very strategic, intentional effort to make sure that it was resident informed, and that's been seen through to fruition. So I really am honored to have the opportunity to bring forward some of that in the building when we're in occupancy.
That's Cydney. It's just, to me, it has always struck me from when I first met you and when I first saw that you were going to be part of this project, that this was a perfect match, a match made in heaven. How in the world did we luck out to get you? What got you involved with this work?
Well, thank you. That is almost too generous, but I so appreciate it. I said that I also really got lucky with this kind of unique rare bird opportunity. I've always been kind of characterized as that community center lady, right? So even whether it's in personal life or professionally, people, friends, peers, colleagues have always really considered me this community center based person. So I've always had a focus and attention on how do we create spaces where people feel safe to show up as their whole selves, and creating a sense of belonging, purpose, and investment in that. And so when I learned about ThriveOn collaboration early on, it was as a participant. And so this was kind of participating in some of the working groups, early focus sessions that were, the efforts were led by others on the community engagement team. Both partners had folks just like yourself and others, colleagues that were focusing on community engagement efforts, and they reached out to the community. And so at that time in my position, I was working in the neighborhood already at America's Black Holocaust Museum. And so I had the great honor to host some of those listening sessions and be really close to the early planning stages of hearing from that community voice. And it was just, really, I can't describe it. I was almost awestruck at how focused and intentional it was in hearing from the community. And so there were multiple opportunities for folks to share different means, so surveys, in-person meetings, discussions, polls. I think there was even web-based opportunities to share and give feedback. And so, as far as how my involvement got into this, I was very close, a close neighbor, staying tuned to the development. And when the opportunity came up, I said, well, let me just try my luck. And I'm so thankful that my experience and interest and support led to this opportunity.
Well, I can tell you we are the grateful ones because this was a perfect match. We are also excited. Part of the work that you do, I know, and I have to ask this question, you're working with the Medical College of Wisconsin. What's it like having MCW as a partner in this work?
Yeah. I can say that it has been a great partnership, I think, for all of the stakeholders, and having MCW as a partner has been really game-changing in a sense that we are creating space for the partners to have this aligned vision, aligned work, but operating from their strengths, right? Operating within their priorities, but from their strengths. And so we have this really unique kind of symbiotic relationship that we have, I think, focused in on what are those key priorities. And a lot of that visioning work and early preparation led us to understanding what those were. A lot of those priorities focusing on race, health, and equity. So housing, early childhood education, health and wellness, social cohesion, economic opportunities, all of those came from the planning and partnership and intentional effort between those stakeholders. And so, I'm relatively still a newcomer to this, but the group of people that really got together and put their heads together in a strategic way, said, this is how we can move together towards our own interests, but in alignment with our shared interests. And really what was the key about that was, what are we able to do with and for our community at the heart of all of that? And so I really am thankful for the partnership with MCW. And I think we've been able to see where strengths arise from each angle of the partnership and where we're able to lean on each other. And so I can't say enough about how partnership has been great. I have been, like I said, relatively a newcomer, but I haven't heard from anyone else that they've had us experience otherwise.
That's so great to hear. That is so great to hear. And as was mentioned earlier, if you have any questions as we go along, please feel free to put them in the chat. We're kind of watching both.
Yes.
You mentioned partnerships, and partnerships that can be kind of tricky.
Mm-hmm.
And there are a lot of partners. First and foremost, our intentionality of the programming is the involvement of the community, because that was the foundation of the work that we're doing. And then there's other partners that we're bringing together. So what have you learned about what it takes to be a good partner with this type of project?
Yep. So, I'll start by saying that there's nothing is without its bumps in the road, right? And so sometimes those are where you learn those lessons. And so when focusing on being a good partner, I think one is that there's this real, very present and clear understanding that everything's not gonna be perfect, right? There's gonna be bumps and hiccups, and how we respond to that is really almost as significant as whatever challenges, or as I've grown accustomed and experienced everyone share, these are opportunities and not challenges, right? And so I think one of those things that it takes to be an effective partner is these aligned intents, respecting our individual unique goals, our shared goals, and then leaning on expertise that exists outside of our realm. And so, each partner made a commitment in this collaboration, right? And I think we've been able to create space to honor that. Sometimes when needed, we've been able to very gracefully and in the spirit of collaboration, able to redirect when sometimes we get, those challenges are opportunities. And I'll say the effective partner has been able to communicate. We've been able to talk about our challenges and opportunities. We've been able to work through any of the bumps and hiccups and celebrate our wins, which is really one of those key things. This has been a project that many folks have been working on for 4 or more years, and celebrating all along the way and through some of these environmental challenges, like who knew the pandemic was going to happen, right? But celebrating our wins throughout that, I think, has been one of those key things. And so just really having these great relationships among institutions and individuals has been one of the key pieces of being an effective partner.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I think that you came with an advantage of knowing how to do partnerships so well, but also the advantage of knowing the community and being able to come in and rally the community behind a project. What's the secret sauce in being an effective community partner and getting the community to support programming such as this?
Right. No, I hear you. And I think, it's really important for me to share that I can't take 100% credit at all for any of this. This has been a huge effort among partners, among colleagues. And so by no way am I trying to say that I have the individual sauce, right? I think there's this community engagement focus, and being a great community partner really started with understanding a few guiding principles that I know you worked really closely with Darlene Russell, your Office of Community Engagement, GMF's Office of Community Impact and Engagement as well. A lot of those colleagues really ironed out the strategic plan that focused on a few guiding principles, and those include relationships and community building, leading and listening with curiosity, transparent communication, and shared leadership. And so this wasn't something that we were coming in to say, here's what the community needs, and we're going to fix the problems that we observe. We were listening intentionally for what the community wanted and how they wanted to participate in that. And again, not just listening to say we checked the box, community engagement done, right? This was something that was shared by way of establishing the Community Advisory Council, that this would be an ongoing engagement with the community to hear from them and allow them to have a leadership stake in how ThriveOn Collaboration developed, and now seeing those things to fruition on the other side.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, those community partners were critical, and the communication. I do want to give a shout out to Athena Communications, who has done an incredible job of just helping us to make sure that our communication is crisp and on time, and that it's reflective of the community that we're serving. That's so key.
Yeah, that's such an important note. There were so many partners, collaborators from respective institutions as well as consulting partners. And so they've been instrumental in how we've been able to share the story and really aligning our strategic priorities with those opportunities and action within the community. So couldn't have done it without those partners either.
Definitely, definitely. So you mentioned it, the C word, COVID-19.
Yeah.
I know, well, we know how it impacted a lot of businesses, but we were putting up a building. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, how did that impact the progress or the work that was being done in the meantime,
Right.
with ThriveOn?
Yeah. So I can share from my vantage point coming in on this side of the pandemic. But I understand that it definitely extended timeline from a really practical standpoint in the physical structure of the building, the impact to the workforce, the impact to materials and availability. All of those things had real impacts in what the initial schedule and what everyone thought we would be doing by way of construction. How that has unfolded is probably different than anyone could have imagined at the start of this, right? So adding to the timeline, creating this sense of unknown, and really not able to establish a firm, this is our end date and when we're going to be out of this. And I think the perspective now is really different than when we were living through that experience, because we're on the other side and now we're able to see how it has turned out. But there's still very real impacts, like I said, to workforce, to materials availability, and to timing from a construction standpoint. From the standpoint of just delaying progress, the workforce kind of really went remote. And so this added a significant amount of time and a unique challenge on how do we stay connected to the community, continue to share the story, the progress that was being made. And so, like you mentioned, our communications partners, our engagement teams, they really were able to come together to figure out how we continue to stay connected. So I believe they started doing virtual office hours and tea times, digital newsletters that got released, really taking advantage of social media opportunities to share the story and to keep people posted with what progress was being made at a time when it really was unclear and people were uncertain about what the span of the pandemic would be.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, I think to shift and transition and be very transparent about it. I always was saying I'm getting a lawn chair and I'm sitting out front. I don't care where I'm gonna be.
Right.
When they say go, I'm ready. I am so ready.
I'm out there. No, I hear you.
Yeah.
And I think another good thing though that you maybe an unexpected but a really positive result was that it added to this timeline, which was a unique thing to deal with, but it also gave us more opportunity to gain trust from the community, to kind of spend time cultivating these relationships that have become really important. And I think folks were able to realize that it wasn't just transactional engagement. It wasn't just, we're not here for you. I think during that time, there was the launch of the small business loan program at a time when our neighbors were really struggling. And so I believe that was something that was really significant. And it wasn't specifically related to ThriveOn the building, but understanding that our neighbors, our community, and a part of this too. So I believe during that time, the ThriveOn small business loan launched, as well as the anti-displacement fund was in or around that same time. And so this was really showing that we were caring about our own interests, but our neighbors too. And I think that was a significant piece to the trust building and relationship building.
And you mentioned the small business loans and the anti-displacement. Why do you feel that that was significant, especially during this time period? And do you know how many people were possibly impacted by those two pieces being? And I'm totally throwing something new in, but those two things were so important. They were really critical, and I remember hearing from the community how much they really appreciated the acknowledgement. But what did you see as being the impact of those two pieces specifically?
Right. So I don't have specific numbers, but we could probably share some information on that at a later point. But what I can say is that this really followed through and was able to demonstrate that we were going to deliver on our multi-pronged approach for engagement. And so it wasn't just listening, it was responding to what we were hearing. And so one of those things really early on that the community and the neighbors shared was, this new development is great, but what does that mean for me? What does that mean for my family? How am I going to celebrate this great opportunity, and I know it's going to increase my property taxes, right? And so, you know, as we really kind of understood some of the concerns from the community, they were not unclear. They were very specific in sharing what they heard was coming and how they felt that was going to impact them. And so I think we were able to, for example, be contributors and partners in establishing or contributing to the Anti-Displacement Fund, which is still ongoing and has served many members of the community, many of whom are long-term residents, and they are now at a point in their lives where they might be on fixed incomes or they really have specific budgets that they need to adhere to. And so this has been an important element that's been cross institution, part governmental, all of these things, all of these players coming together to say, this is how we can respond and support the community in this way. Same as businesses, when everything shut down, businesses in the neighborhood were suffering. And so, you know, they had still concerns, they needed capacity and support. And so the small business loan program, I think, really was able to support that as well, and kind of understanding that we weren't coming into the neighborhood to take away. We were really coming in to be a system of support and a network of support to our neighbors, individual families, and businesses.
Definitely, definitely. And then mentioning those two, what are some ways that people can possibly support the work that's being done at ThriveOn?
Certainly. I think, you know, one of those ways that we can continue to support the work that's being done at ThriveOn, there's still a tremendous philanthropy and fundraising effort that's going on across institutions. And so I believe somewhere in the chat and or in the follow-up email from this, there'll be a link to the Community Engagement Fund that'll be able to support ongoing work when the building is in full operation. And so that's what type of community programs are we able to offer? How does that impact our neighbors and community? And how are we able to deliver on the promises that we've made, and really helping to materialize their dreams and vision? You know, of course, we can continue to be great neighbors, visit the area, support local businesses, right? And again, this isn't about how well can ThriveOn do. This is how can we transform and contribute and support the entire neighborhood. And so, you know, that's going to get your coffee at a local business, right? That is taking your lunch meeting right next door, right across the street, or right downstairs to support those local businesses, right? We have to really kind of just be thoughtful about the fact that the neighbors have been in these communities. This is Halyard Park, Harambee, and Brewers Hill for many, many years. And so this is already a beloved place for them, right? And so now how can we add to that and continue to be good neighbors and partners? So I would say, if there's any way, you know, what would I do today to support ThriveOn? I would go take an interest in my neighborhood, walk around, become familiar with the businesses and opportunities there, right? And once we're open, come to the building, take advantage of the community space. The first floor is designed and intended to be a community hub. And so this is great reservable space for workshops, presentation, training, you name it. You know, we really have heard from the community that they needed this space.
Yeah.
And we're coming. I'm looking really quick, Deb, and please, I want you to jump in as well and share about your experience, because you've been so instrumental in the community engagement work so far. And, you know, I just don't want this to be about me retelling the story. I want this to be about, you know, kind of what had you envisioned. We all had dreams and, you know, hopes for what this could be. And so how we've been able to activate that in our professional capacities. You can feel free to jump in and share more about that too in your experience.
No, I think, well, this is supposed to be about you, Cydney. You can't flip it around and get me in trouble. No, I think some of the pieces that are so critical all come up to your leadership and what we're doing and able to actualize once those doors open. And Teresa Scott had a question with regards to what are, which is what I'm also thinking. I'm thinking, like, what am I looking most forward to? But what are you looking forward to seeing and doing once the building's up and running?
Oh, that is such a great question. And thank you, Teresa, for joining in our conversation. I'm really looking forward to, I'll just tell you, so far, every time I've been in the community, I've been able to hear from folks these really fond reflections and memories of what the building, what that Gimbels building meant to them, or their childhood or youthful experience in that. And so what I'm really looking forward to is seeing folks from the neighborhood coming back into the space and now creating these new memories and new experiences in this same building. And so, you know, how can we tap into that? We're still working on what that looks like, probably a type of an oral history art project, hybrid kind of thing. But how we hear those stories and are able to share those is really important to me. And so that's one of the things that I'm most looking forward to. Additionally, I'll say I'm really excited for our first floor tenants that are coming into the building. And so, you know, the first floor is going to be occupied with an early childhood education center, which is one of those priorities that we heard from the community. And so Malaika is the selected operator, and we're so honored to have them coming into our first floor. So I really think I'm going to just be probably the most excited to see just the youthful glee. I don't have another way to describe it, just the youth being able to come into this place and the professional development center that they're offering. So not only are they training their staff, but they're also offering across that sector, across the early childhood education sector, training for more than 30 providers in the area, which is kind of a one-of-one thing. It doesn't exist anywhere else. And so I think that's probably the thing I'm looking forward to the most. You know, I could go on and on, but the other tenants that are coming into the first floor, Versiti, formerly the Blood Center of Wisconsin, and JobsWork MKE, they're also coming in and bringing with them their networks, their energy, their programs. And so I'm just really excited to see that first floor community hub be activated and to see materialized what the community shared that they wanted to see. So education, job skills training, workforce development, all of these things are going to be happening there. The focus on youth and opportunities for them to engage as well is huge. So I can't just pick one thing to say that I'm most excited seeing.
We tried, Teresa, we tried. But I think that the intentionality of who's on that first floor is just so significant, because that is the actualization of what the community was asking for.
Exactly.
Jobs, training, daycare, in space. Space, definitely. Definitely.
To host all of these things. I'll tell you, during the summer, we had a lot of really great opportunities to engage and be out in the community. So we supported as many community festivals as we could in the neighborhood. And I can't tell you how many times folks will come up to me and say, you know, I'm having my fashion show there. It's going to be next year. And I was like, oh, okay, I can't wait, you know, because people are just so energized and they're really excited about the potential there and what opportunities. And I'm like, I know this person hasn't scheduled a fashion show yet because I haven't seen, right? But I'm like, I'll be there, you know.
It's like, okay, but you know, you got to reserve the space.
Right, you got to reserve the space, but it's just been that level of energy and folks wanting to see, you know, imagining beyond, I think, what we could have dreamed, you know, what they would love to use the space for. So some folks have even shared, you know, I'm planning to do, they want to have space and have opportunities for resume workshops, you know, and it might be something that's kind of small, but really significant considering we're right in the middle of neighborhoods. Right. People are still trying to, you know, get into the workforce, all of these things. And so, you know, I'm really excited to see the daily visitor, the daily community person who's coming in for their coffee and stumbling upon a really great program that, you know, MCW might be offering right on the community hub that is, you know, right in their neighborhood. They didn't have to travel far to get there. And it's just a really a life enhancing delight, you know, that they can just stumble upon this. And I'm really excited for that.
I am too. You mentioned the outdoor activities that we did, and you know where I'm going. that block, Sonia would be very mad at me if I did not mention the block party. And
Yes.
that is so much fun.
Mhm.
And the community loves it. We
Yes.
block off streets, which we would think might be an issue, but the community comes out. I'd grab somebody's chairs while they were trying to stumble out their house. I was like, come on, let me get the chairs and get you set up right here by the stage. And
Yeah.
that is an event that I know that we loved. And will we
Mhm.
be seeing that come back again?
You know, that was definitely the highlight of the summer. If you don't ask me, my opinion, it was certainly
Yeah.
the highlight of the summer. In this second annual block party, I think folks were really excited to see how close we are and how much progress has been made.
Yeah.
And so I think there's definitely going to be a continuation of that as a signature ThriveOn event. Obviously, once we're open, it'll have a focus on presenting the building as a key feature of that. And one thing that I'm really excited about, you know, however we present that in the coming years, is that the ThriveOn Arts project within the building is going to have a very much a featured role in being able to share what that is about. So, you know, the building itself, you know, is important and significant, and all of the things that we are adding to the opportunities within there are really, really key. So yes, we will have summer event ongoing. Yes. And I'm
Awesome.
really excited to focus on the arts as well.
Yeah, that is going to be fabulous. So tell us as we wind this down, and everybody, Teresa's the only one. Teresa gets the prize for asking the question. No one else has asked questions so far. Um, what is? Oh, here we go. Mr. Key asked the question. When or will there be an opportunity to tour the full building? He knows the
Well,
answer to this.
yes, I am almost positive he knows the answer to this. Thank you,
Yeah.
my love, for asking. This is my beloved asking a question. Thank you for joining our conversation today. There will be opportunities to tour the full building once we are open. And so that'll be coming in, you know, early next year. 2024 is the year, so we'll be moving in, getting familiar, establishing our routines, and then we'll be opening up to the community for full tours of the building, and specifically the
Awesome.
community hub.
Awesome. That's awesome. That's awesome. And what else would you like people to know about ThriveOn?
Mhm. You know, I think there's so much to share, and there's going to be opportunities to continue to tell that story for all of the stakeholders and players to share. I think one of the things that I'll maybe focus in on, though, is that how significant this is as a model for legacy creation among partners, within a city, within a neighborhood, how much this is going to transform the landscape, but also serve as a model for how this type of partnership can be transformative for communities and individuals. And so I don't know, I think everyone has an idea of just how significant this is, and we've strategically designed it that way. But I think seeing, you know, in 5 years, 10 years, this model be replicated in cities across the country is going to be major. You know, everyone says, you know, this is a unicorn opportunity, right? The stars aligned and the partners emerged and the opportunity existed. But I think the lessons to be learned from this type of partnership are going to be transformative across this country.
Yeah, definitely. It's already been recognized nationally. So
Yes. Yes.
it's a model. It's a model. Okay,
Mhm.
so someone heard me say people didn't ask questions. So first, Ms. Jones, how do community partners get involved and stay updated on resources offered at the center?
That is a great question. So community partners will have an opportunity to get involved and stay updated through multiple digital channels. So newsletter, e-newsletter, the website, emailing list, but also coming by, stopping in. You know, I really want to emphasize this community center feel of the community hub. This is a place where you can come in and ask questions. You can come in and stay a while and say, hey, tell me more about what's happening here. You know, so we're hoping that people will visit frequently and ask some of those questions. Also, resources that'll be offered at the center, we're planning to find a way to deliver those in multiple formats. We realize not everyone is into technology and the digital way of transmitting information. So we're still planning a little bit of a snail mail newsletter. There's still going to be multiple ways to share the resources and opportunities at the center. But I'll say those primary, right now, the primary opportunities are getting on the newsletter and staying tuned to the website and social media channels.
Yeah, definitely. If you go to the website, and there'll be a follow-up email after this. And the website is one place where you can actually subscribe to the newsletter, which is helpful. Ms. Susan asked a similar question. Are there collaborative meetings for ThriveOn where community partners can continue to learn about how they can support efforts for programming development?
Yes, so there are, I believe we have the flyer, so I'll try to share those in just a little bit here as well, or they might be played again, but there are community meetings called Tea Time, as well as office hours, where the community engagement team is regularly meeting with the community and opening opportunity to learn about how to support efforts and program development at ThriveOn. We'll continue those once we're in occupancy in the building. We'll continue those in another format, probably just as frequent, so that we can continue to hear from the community about what type of programming and resources they're interested in seeing in the space. But right now, the tea times, I'm sorry, forgive me, I can't pull it up while I'm on this screen, but we can certainly share. Yeah, we can certainly share that in the follow-up email, but tea time, yes, Teresa has said tea time is great. We go to the Legacy Center where they have a cafe operated by Confectionately Yours. And so we offer a variety of, breakfast, pastries, snacks, coffee, and tea, and really kind of make this opportunity for us to have discussions just like we're having right now about the future at ThriveOn and opportunities there.
Yes, so I would definitely say watch and go to the website to see when the tea times are being held. I actually was able to meet up with some folks, other partners at the medical college that I didn't know were moving in. I was like, oh, we gotta work together. There's some things we can do. So yes, I agree, Ms. Scott, that the tea times are great. And Jessica, in true fashion, has dropped it in the chat. So you can pull that up and save it. Thank you, Jessica. We so appreciate you. And keep it that we have a few more minutes. So if there are any questions.
If I might, you just made such a great point that I want to highlight. The departments that are moving into the building from MCW, the foundation, the first floor tenants, all of the related consulting partners and their access to the space, co-locating in one space for the first time is going to be huge. And I don't think we've really realized or understood what the physical location of all those players in one space is going to mean. But we've already started to see the synergies among that in program planning and how we're planning for opportunities on the first floor and in the community hub, how the first floor tenants are working together, even creating positions and staffing them from other organizations. So those are the things that are already happening and we're not even in the building. So excited that this is the opportunity and we're going to be just located together for the first time in the same space in this neighborhood, in this community. It's tremendous.
And with the support of and understanding from the community. Teresa's getting the prize so much. Around how many people will be moving into the space? Do you know those numbers?
That's a great question. I can give an estimate. So, possible typical daily occupants around about 300. That's including all of the partner staff, regular daily staff, as well as constituents and customers of the first floor tenants.
Awesome.
I'm hoping way more with the arts as well coming.
Oh, that's going to be crazy. And my dear friend, Tony Whitaker, she doesn't have a question, but she's really excited about this. Sign her up for resume workshops. You know that you say less.
Yes.
And she also would love to support as well as bringing mental health first aid training to the space in our community. Tony, you already knew you were on my list, right? You were on the list. And
Yes,
then
Tony,
Miss,
thank you for that. And
I know.
please I know you're already connected with Deb, but just, stay connected. I certainly would love to hear your ideas and what opportunities you might want to see in the space.
Tony, I think she's doing some phenomenal things. So it's that I'm just gonna leave it at that. And she
Enough
knows
said, right?
better. I know she knows better than to put recommendations because I've already got her.
That
Miss
means you've
Elise,
already been volunteered. No.
yeah, you've been voluntold. You're gonna be voluntold, Tony. You know that. Miss Elise says she's looking forward to all the future things happening and to that shared space to meet up with community members and neighborhood volunteers. People are really needing that community center vibe in their life right now, especially after all the isolation that came with COVID. Miss Elise, you cannot be more truer and transparent. That is so, so true.
It really is. It really
It
is. And
is.
I
It
thank
is.
you for that. And what's really significant to me is the way that everyone's going to be able to contribute to that community center vibe, right? And so
Oh,
we've
yeah.
got we've got cross-generation opportunities coming in there. We've got the focus on youth, focus on wellness and health and opportunities and healthy food options. And so playing off the strengths of the neighborhood and the neighbors, we're going to be able to create that center right there, and and it's walkable, and it's right there, and it's home. So
It
I'm
is. It
excited.
is. It is.
Yes.
That is truly exciting. And I think about all of the partners that are the outside of the building. And one of the things I always say, I tell people, I said, part of what I know I have an office upstairs on the second floor, but 9 times out of 10, you're going to find me on the first floor at one of the tables.
Yep. Right there.
Having the meeting before the meeting after the meeting. You all know how we do this. You know how we do this. But
Yes.
I think about the partners outside and the school that's going up, spend time down the street,
Yes.
G's across the street. There's so much. The Black Holocaust Museum, there's so much. And like you said, within walking distance, we can just go to these
Yes.
places. Honeybee Sage, yes.
Yes, just tremendous community assets. And when we talked about people feeling this sense of belonging and purpose, and just really seeing themselves reflected in the space at ThriveOn, but also how are we sharing about the community's existing resources and incoming resources and assets. And so you mentioned America's Black Holocaust Museum, which is always near and dear to my heart, was really my introduction to Milwaukee community and to these neighborhoods. A huge resource that we're going to continue to partner with, right? So other neighborhood anchors like the Greater Milwaukee Urban League, incoming neighbors like the Brownsville Center for the Arts, the Howard Fuller Academy, all of these places coming in. And so it really lends and speaks to the investment and the transformation in the area, that we aren't coming in and solving and fixing. This place has already been great, and now we're coming in and enjoying it and adding to it. And I'm really probably most excited for that. And I can't tell you, just again, if we were talking about what can I do right now, the building isn't open yet. What can I do right now? I have to say, becoming a patron of businesses in the area is major. Getting out while we can, while the weather still permits, to enjoy and learn about that area is so significant. One of my favorite businesses that I always try to go to, Bronzeville Collective, they've been there. I don't know. They just celebrated a significant milestone anniversary. But it was really great because I remember seeing when that place was a rotational pop-up. And in the same spirit of this collaboration, those business owners came together and said, hey, we need to establish a place where we can do this work ongoing. And so, go have lunch, go shop in the local businesses. It is one of the things that I think is going to continue to transform the area, and being so close in a near downtown neighborhood. Tell a friend, bring a friend, right? Those things are, I think, by way of how are we engaging the community right now, those are the critical pieces for me.
Right. It would be a shame for us to be in the building and then all of a sudden these places would have to close. And so I know, as Ms. Scott said, I'll probably see you at the Brownsville Collective because that's where I'm doing my Christmas shopping.
Yes.
So yes, that's what we need to do. And rise and grind. Yes, Tony. Yes.
Yes.
They don't
Rise and grind too. Oh my
Ooh,
goodness. I mean, so this is what I'm saying is I'm not just talking about it. We go, my family goes, and I'm gonna tell you who's gonna see me more often is Spin NKE, because I definitely need to get over there too, right?
yes, yes.
So
Yeah, let's, you and me both. Let's make a date. Let's make
let's
that
do it
make
together,
that
right?
together. Yes,
Yeah,
that is
so
awesome.
many great businesses that need our support in the area, and this is one really practical way to engage the community and to support the continued vitality and thriving of those neighborhoods.
So what I hear you saying is, even though the building's not there, for those who ask questions about how to support programming, begin to build and utilize and support the assets that are already there and
Exactly.
those businesses that are there. Let's go make a mad rush, and they'll try to figure out what in the world happened. What
Right.
the heck it was.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
So
go make relationships. Start,
yeah,
these are our neighbors, these are our friends. Build those relationships. There's great people, operators and owners of all of these institutions and all of these partners. And so, you can stumble in sometimes and spend way too much time just chatting up, but
yep,
that's the community center vibe. That's how we
that's
meet
what
our
it is.
neighbors. That's how we build connections that lead us to greater engagement opportunities on the other side and when we're in the building.
The other thing that I think, and it's near and dear, we talk about near and dear to our hearts, is what impact this is going to have for the youth in that community.
Yep.
To be able to see all of the people that will come in and out, all of the business professionals, all of the leaders in the community,
Exactly.
contributors in the community, to see us all in one space.
Yep.
And the little ones from Malaika's that's going to
Mm-hmm.
be in there. And I think just what it will do for the youth in our community to see this happening and see um, the vibe. The vibe. I wish I could see waves of, like, see sound waves. I
Yes.
can see it. You open the door for Thrive On, and there's a vibe that just pours out into
Yes.
the
Like,
neighborhood of
oh.
positivity. Yeah, I think
No,
that that's going
I
to
hear
be
you.
impactful.
That is,
So,
and like I said, generational impact. This is
mhm,
a generational commitment. The
yes,
investment has been significant from all the partners, and
yes,
so I'm certain we're going to see generations of impact and positive outcomes from this partnership. And this has been very frequently shared among leaders in the collaboration that this isn't just a building or a real estate transaction. This is really about the community and our impact and our opportunity to engage, and really like I said, our opportunity to engage with the community here. And so I'm just really, really excited, really thankful for the huge amount of work and person hours. This has been countless number of hours, countless colleagues, I think more than 15 working groups, right, of different colleagues, different consultants, partners involved in the strategic organizing and planning for this. And so again, when I say, I'm honored and certainly thankful for the opportunity to be here and share about this and to share about my small portion contributing to this, but this has been so many people working to advance this shared vision and alignment with their own personal goals and priorities, but also in the spirit of community and collaboration. So I would be remiss if I didn't share again how many people have been involved in this effort and contributed their time, their talents, their expertise in one way or another, and how many are still coming, right?
yes,
So there's
yes.
going to be tons and tons and tons, but I realize we're getting close to our time, and I don't want to overdo it, but just wanted to check the chat and see if there was anything else.
It's just Tony again. Saying,
Hey,
it's just.
Tony, thank you. Yes.
So Cydney, I want to thank you tremendously. Thank everyone for joining us today. We want to let you know there are ways to get involved. Cydney's not going anywhere. We have so much work to be done in supporting this community and other initiatives such as this. How to contribute and get involved, make a difference. If it's inspired you, here's a QR code where you can get involved. Tony, you don't need to flash it because I know how to find you. But yeah, there's definitely ways. There's ways that they've also put into the chat of how you can get in touch with us. And again, if you love this spotlight, you're gonna love the next one. The next one will be on January 24th. We're gonna rest a little bit in December, But on January 24th, we have more details coming up about that later. Cydney, again,
Yes.
thank you for your leadership. Office of Community Engagement, thank you for putting together such an incredible program. And everyone, thank you for engaging us and joining us for this conversation. Be blessed and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, Deb. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Take good care, everybody.
You too.